All right, we are live. Hello, Podfeet.
Hi, how are you, Steve?
Welcome back from Macstock.
Absolutely. What a
That
good
was
time
a
that was. We may talk about it a little bit on the show this week. That was sarcasm, Steve.
yeah. I'm sorry, I had to take care of another audio feed that popped up. The actual website. It's delayed. It's that delay.
For
Yeah, saw several of you in person. So thanks for joining us.
yes, definitely good. Oh, we should. So let me do an audio recording check here.
Okay.
Come on. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan. Oh, that's too hot. Too hot. Too hot. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com. All right, check playback. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com.
Kind of trailed off there at the end, but that's
I did.
okay. All right, I think it may be time for roll call.
Roll call. We have Kevin and Bruce, who we got to meet in real life, and Dave Ginsburg, who we got to see again in real life,
And
Ian
who presented?
and Ian Prince End, who we met at Macstock in real life many years ago. Jill McKinley, got to see her again. Mr. Ed, he lives down the block. We can see him anytime, but we haven't seen him enough recently.
That's right.
John, who was not there, unfortunately, and Pie Man, who is probably mad at me because his daughter got to meet Kepler today, and I didn't wait for him to come out because I was in a hurry. I feel really bad.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I shouldn't have confessed it, but I swore her to secrecy to not tell that I'd stopped by. And we've got Ron Hebe and Sandy, who we've met in real life. We haven't met Ron in real life. That's a pretty. Oh wait, Doc Tim. How did I skip over Doc Tim? Doc Tim, who we got to see again this week. So lots of fun. Oh
Yeah, it was a great time.
Ed's got COVID.
Oh.
So is that why the two of you were stuck exhausted for so long? Oh, that's terrible.
Hope it's not too bad on you.
Oh, wait a minute. No, you just got back from a trip, Ed. Did you guys get it on the trip? Yes, I
Well,
did.
next time you're out here, Jill, you'll need to meet Kepler.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Everyone got flu on the cruise. You got COVID. Oh, that's horrible.
Did you get to enjoy the cruise itself, and the symptoms weren't till later, maybe?
Yeah, towards the end, maybe?
Oh, no.
Oh, it's heartbreaking.
So
on the first day, Jan fell and smashed her face and got all bruised up like me.
Oh, I didn't hear that. Oh, no.
Oh, I showed you a picture.
I don't think so. Maybe I was thinking of you.
All right. Well, we better start the show no matter what's going on because I got a lot of stuff to do here today.
All right, let's do it.
All right, here we go. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Apple bias. Today is Sunday, July 20th, 2025, and this is show number 1054. Well, you're going to hear a lot about Macstock this week, but I wanted to tell you that I got the pleasure of being on For Mac Eyes Only. This is a podcast hosted by Mike Potter, and the other guests were Dave Ginsburg, Brian Flanagan Arthurs, and the simply dreadful Chuck Joyner of Mac Voices. We talked a lot about the show, and I don't want to spoil any of it, but of course, there's a link in the show notes. Okay. It's going to be weird to have a chapter mark before I even... Well, you're going to finish the music, but I'm going to put a link to it. Save. Oh, I should do that. I don't think I did that yet. Whoop, nope. For Mac Eyes Only. All right, save. And see, yep. Done.
I got to put myself back in. So I don't see that link.
No, because Dave Ginsburg just reminded me by posting it in the...
okay.
So, yeah, I'd meant to put it in and I forgot. So thank you, Dave, for putting that in there. Great. Why am I not able to scroll? There we go. That's weird. There we go. It's scrolling. Okay. Even more Cinder Sarhas apps. Sindra Sorhas, I do not understand how this guy does so many applications. I've told you about a bunch of them before. I've just done another 4 that for Screencast Online, and it's like banana pants how much this guy. It's so many applications. He's got like 54, I think, on his website.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. Crazy,
Prolific? A bit?
Prolific. Yeah, slightly. All right, so let's see. Here we go. A few months ago, I created a Screencast Online. Oh, where's my jingle? Do I get to do the jingle there? I think so. There's a link in the show notes. Well, a few months ago, I created a Screencast Online tutorial about 3 applications from the incredibly prolific developer Sindra Sorhas. In that tutorial, I taught how to use Dado, Ico, and Velia. Well, I'm back with 4 more small but really powerful apps from Sindra, again as a Screencast Online tutorial. We've got Plain Text Editor, which runs on the Mac, iPad, and iPhone, and it gives you a place to get your thoughts down without being distracted by things like formatting. Online Check is a quiet little menu bar app that simply tells you when your Mac has gone offline and when it goes back online. I keep this running all the time on all of my Macs. I love this application. Now, I told you before about Dado. It's a very capable menu bar app. It's kind of a companion to your calendar, and it's really capable, but it might be more than you need. No worries, Sindra Sorhas has another one in this tutorial I cover called Today, and it only shows you today's events. The final one is called AnyText, and it lets you create text widgets on your lock screen or home screen of your Mac, iPad, and iPhone. Screencast Online is a subscription service, but you can get a free 7-day trial and watch all of the current back catalog. Beware of the free trial, though. The tutorials on Screencast Online are fantastic. Not just mine. Of course, mine are amazing. But all of the tutors are really, really good, and you're going to want to become a member if you check out the free trial. All right. Next up. Okay. Somebody donated to me because of this PSA.
Really?
They bought me 5 coffees because of this PSA.
Nice.
Well, that and the MacStock coverage. So I probably have to share it with you.
I'm sorry for laughing, but that X-ray of
X-rays with earrings in? Oh my gosh. Oh man, I wish I had a copy of my X-ray. Oh, I didn't get an X-ray. I got a CT scan.
Tell Jan that those are very stylish, but I like how they're levitating.
Okay, that's funny. Did she tell you you're allowed to show us that?
Yeah. There may have been a HIPAA violation here.
Yeah, will do. Shh. You know, I can tell her. Girls got to stay together. All right, let's get another jingle. By the way, I have noticed that sometimes moving jingles into Hindenburg causes it to crash. Happened last week. It happened to me again this week.
And it doesn't matter which jingle, or is it related to any one of
I
them?
feel like it has to do with if I slightly move it up or down in the list and then drag it in. I've got to do some tests to see if I can replicate it. Well, I probably shouldn't have used my happy, upbeat kids musical intro jingle there, because I should have had something maybe a little more ominous sounding, because I want to make a public service announcement. Some of this you've heard about, but I wanted this to be a standalone article for people to share with their friends and family. A few weeks ago, I told you about how I tripped on a walk with my dog Kepler. There was a concrete cover for the water meter that had sunk more than an inch below the sidewalk. When I tripped over it, I flipped nose first onto the concrete. I had no time to even get my hands up to help break the fall. When I fell, my Apple Watch noted that it looked like I'd taken a hard fall, and it offered to call emergency services. Even in my state of shock, I knew the right answer to this question, and I immediately pushed the red circular SOS button. But nothing happened. So I pushed it again, and again, and again, and nothing happened. Well, here's the PSA. It's a slider, not a button. Get this? It's a slider. It's a round red button. It's a slider. Now, if you look closely at the screenshot I put in the show notes, you'll see that the round red SOS button is sitting inside a rounded rectangle that says emergency call. Evidently, Apple thinks that it's obvious that the emergency call part of the rounded rectangle is a slot that you're supposed to slide the SOS button across. I can tell you that in all the time I've been looking at this button over the years, since it was implemented in the Apple Watch, I never noticed the slot and I always thought it was a button. Now, perhaps you're more observant than I am and would be more observant with the blood gushing out of your nose than I was, but it never occurred to me that it was a slider. I was also under the impression that if you didn't dismiss this alert, the Apple Watch would automatically call emergency services. I've always immediately swiped up and said, no, I'm fine. While bleeding on the sidewalk, I did not take the time to read the Apple support documentation that I've linked to in the show notes, where they explain that the only time emergency services will be contacted automatically is if you do not move for 1 minute. Now, it would be good news to me if everyone who hears this PSA from me thinks to themselves, I always thought it was a slider. Why are you so unobservant? But if there's just one of you out there who thought it was a button too, then it was worth me writing this public service announcement and telling it to you on the podcast. All right. Request a 5x7. Oh, Ron's saying I should be able to get a copy of the CT scan. I thought so too. Yep, there's the Kepler was unjustly accused.
Yep, it turns out that that water meter cover is depressed about almost an inch into the sidewalk.
I think it's more than an inch.
Yeah, and so that's the fix, at least temporarily.
No, they did actually fix it for real.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I can bring up another photo if you care.
Okay.
Actually, it might even be in our shared photo library. Look after that photo in shared photo library.
Okay.
Okay, Dave Ginsburg had a CT scan. They sent it to you. I should complain. Oh, I didn't do that right. No, come on. This one.
No, I don't think there's medication for that, John.
For what?
To counter depression in the water meter.
I see what he did there. What they ended up doing, so I wrote this to the city, and I specifically pointed out that it was a California Water Service cover, and knowing that that was probably going to be their fault, their problem to fix. But and that's what they wrote back. The city said, we forwarded on to them, and if any information we get, we'll let you know. But the city, the California Water Service also told me that they would take care of it, and they put asphalt around it, which will completely degrade, and the thing's going to fall apart in a while. But anyway.
Okay. I was wondering how they're going to do that.
Okay, Doc Tim says you can ask for a DVD-ROM of an X-ray. Huh. They told me when I asked, they said, oh, well, you can just go into the portal. What's it called? Chart something. Everybody's crazy about it. Chart something or other. Mm-hmm. Anyway, My Chart. That's right. But I looked in there and it's not in there. It's just the results of it are in there. Yeah, My Chart. All right. Settle back. We got a long one coming up. Here we go. I'll be taking breaks. No. That's the wrong one. I thought so. We have 3 posts. Nope. Why did I do that? It should be this one. I don't know why I grabbed that. Did you notice we have 3 blog posts all with the same URL, Steve? Podfeed.com/blog says 2025/07/macstock-2025-1-2. Yeah, I had to have done that before with X-rays, but we did not see a photo of it while we were there. They did not show it to us.
So I didn't.
Said, yeah, you're not.
I didn't add the full title because it would have been too long. So I just added the -1 and -2.
Yeah, no, that was perfect.
Okay.
But we have 3 posts that are all Macstock-2025, but it's fine because it's without any number and then -1-2. That was a good solution.
Right.
Okay. All right. Everybody's able to get their CT scan but me. I will be back next week showing you pictures of my CT scan. Actually, I did. Yeah, I want to see we did see my nose, but it was at the, actually, I did get some pictures of that, Steve. I took pictures of the screen at the second doctor. But anyway, here we go. Well, I mentioned earlier that every year Steve and I make the okay. As you know, every year Steve and I make the pilgrimage to the Chicago area to attend MacStock. And every year I struggle with how to describe it to you because I gotta talk about it. But if I gush too much and I talk too long about it, it'll be like your Aunt Edna showing you photos of her trip to Niagara Falls on her slide projector. You know, nobody wants that. And yet it's such an extraordinary experience that I really need to share it with you. Now, the structure of the show is pretty simple, but it's evolved over the years. This year, we had 45-minute talks and 90-minute workshops all in one single track. So you never have that FOMO of like, oh, I should have gone to the other one. The amazing Mike Potter runs the show, and he's very careful to put long breaks between sessions because, as we all know, the hallway track is where most of the knowledge transfer actually happens. The delightful Brian Henson is the MC of the show, and he's brilliant at keeping the speakers and attendees on track. I was very impressed. Every single talk for 3 days started on time. MacStock is also the most inclusive conference I've ever been to, and as a tech conference, it's remarkable that around 30% of the attendees are women. Every year, I ask all the women to stand up, and everybody goes bananas because it's so extraordinary. Unfortunately, the picture I got was real wide, and everybody looked real small, and you can't really tell. It was a terrible photo, so I didn't put that in the show notes. But trust me, 30% were women. Now, one of the best parts about MacStock for me is how well represented the Nosilla castaways are at the show. We take a family portrait every year, and this year's photo has 26 people in it, and that wasn't even all of us. There were a few people missing. Brian helped me get almost all of the Nosilla castaways up on stage with me for that family photo, and I repeated myself here. I go back. I talk about the 26 people twice. Let me just make a note to fix that. Oh, show the, you can show, well, I'll be talking about it. I know you will show it. Okay. Come on. Why is it? What the heck is going on here? Okay, come here. It's not letting me, I'm selecting. There you go. I put the photo in the show notes along with a key Steve and I created, so you're going to know who's who. It was Marty Gencius. Stutter. It was Marty Gencius' idea to create this key photo. It's an outline of each person with numbers on them, along with a table of all of the names. Not only did we represent as attendees, but we rocked the stage too. Amongst the awesome speaker list, we had Kirshen Sia, who's followed the show for ages, the delightful Jill from the North Woods, Marty Gencius, also known as Drunk Nick Nolte in the live chat room, and Chris Cook, who you've only recently met on the NosillaCast. I think one of the most touching thing was that people showed up in their NosillaCast 20-year anniversary shirts. Doc Tim had his on, and so did Charles Goucher. And to my absolute delight, Dave Hamilton of the Mac Geek Gab showed up in his. Bruce from Alabama showed up in the hoodie, which I didn't even have yet, and he kept going on and on and on about how soft it was. Now, I didn't get a photo of Steve wearing his 20th anniversary shirt, but he definitely had it on for the last day. I wore different colored versions of the anniversary shirt each day because Chuck Joyner gave me a hard time a few years ago for not branding myself at trade events. Okay, why am I still... No, do not disturb. All right. I'd like to go through a few highlights of things I learned at MacStock. Jill from the North Woods did a fantastic job talking about how to get fit and healthy with Apple devices and tools. Out of the blue, she dropped in a life-changing tip. Okay, you can do this. You can do this. Out of the... Out of the blue, she dropped in a life-changing tip. Apple Fitness Plus has a big focus on music, which is great for people who care about music. Now, I'm absolutely not against music while working out, and in fact, I kind of like it, but it's not the focus for me. During some workouts, I've noticed that sometimes it's hard to hear the trainer over the music. Jill's tip is that Apple Fitness Plus has a toggle where you can choose whether to emphasize the trainer's voice or the music. On the Apple TV, when you pause or just have the timeline visible, just above it over on the right, you'll see 4 icons. The fourth one is a circle with a waveform in it, and when selected, it pops up a menu. At the top, it says Audio Focus, and you can toggle it between trainer and music. Maybe you prefer the music at a higher volume, and we can both be happy. I also discovered that it's in this menu that you can turn on audio hints. If you're blind or low vision, it's handy to have the audio hints telling you what the trainer is doing. You can now set how fast audio hints play from 0.8x to 2x. In this way, you can control how much it talks over the trainer. Now on the iPad, it's slightly different. There are 3 icons in the bottom right. The third one is a 3-dot menu, and it pops up to show you audio hints and audio focus, both of which fly out separate menus. In there, you can see trainers versus music, the option that Jill taught us about. I have no idea why it's not the same on the Apple TV and on the iPad, but it is different. Even worse, oddly, Apple Fitness Plus on iPhone doesn't have the controls for audio focus or audio hints that either Jill or I could find. Now, Jill had another idea that really resonated with me. When she was talking about her health journey, she shared an excellent strategy. She will only let herself listen to the best audiobooks when she's exercising. Isn't that a great idea? That way, exercising becomes a treat and working out is something she can look forward to. I also loved something that Jeff taught. Yeah, isn't that a great tip? Oh, photos related to treatment. Okay, we are all such nerds. I always take pictures of the equipment when I get medical things done. Want to see the one for mammograms?
But look what he did. Read his caption.
Oh. I can't read it. The John Ormsby Honorary Command Hook?
So no, I meant the description of above his photo.
I realized I was getting my treatments. I just had to lay my clothes on the floor, so I decided to buy a command hook for patients to hang their clothes on. Oh, that's
so
awesome.
It's the John Ormsby memorial hook. Well, memorial is the wrong word.
Yeah. Phrasing.
Yeah.
All right. Keeping going here. Jeff Gamet did a great talk on security and privacy, starting with the basics of HTTPS and DNS. As he added layers of knowledge, he eventually made it all the way to explaining DNS over HTTPS, which is called DOH. Bart has explained this to us in Security Bits, but it sure didn't hurt to have it cemented in my brain to hear it more than once. Jeff also talked about something else in his talk that I've asked Bart to help us do a deep dive on in Security Bits, hopefully next week. So Jeff really tickled my brain on both of those. But the main takeaway I got from Jeff was an analogy that made me laugh while making complete sense. He says that privacy is like his underpants drawer. There's nothing secret in there, but you know what? It's nobody's business but his to look in there. Now, the only problem with this analogy is that I'll be thinking about Jeff's underpants every time someone is trying to explain why privacy is important. You can thank me later for planting that image in your mind as well. Mike Schmitz talked about AI and large language models, and he had some real interesting insights on this. He encouraged us to maybe not use LLMs just to get our work done faster, but rather use them to help us be more creative. He walked us through the various LLMs, and he talked about which ones help you to be more creative in which areas, or at least the way he does it. The one that really surprised me was when he talked about how he uses Grok. Now, I only know that it's been trained to be a Nazi, up to and including talking about how awesome Hitler was and how he would fix the problems of today. But Mike said he'd found a good use for it. He said he uses it to argue with him. By that, he meant that he uses it to play devil's advocate, to help him challenge his own thinking. I'm fascinated that someone would think of this idea in the first place. I'm noodling on what kind of arguments I'd like to have with Grok and whether I'm willing to take the risk of it turning nasty, but it did tickle my brain to think about a different way to use these LLMs. Kirsten Sia did a very good talk on passkeys. After walking through all of the reasons why passwords are a hot mess, she went step by step through explaining public key cryptography and how it's used to authenticate you for passkeys. Now, Bart has explained public key cryptography to us many times, and I mostly get it, but a different penny dropped during Kirsten's explanation. Public key cryptography, when it's used to encrypt information to be passed over the internet, that requires both ends to have public-private keys encrypting the file in both directions. I had it in my head that this always had to be done both directions. But with passkeys, Kirsten explained that public key cryptography is only used for authentication, so it's a one-sided problem. You give the public key to the website, and then you encrypt your authentication with your private key. If that public key can decrypt the authentication, then the website knows you are who you say you are. I hope I didn't make a dog's dinner of that, but it felt like a real revelation to me that that was different than regular public key cryptography for encrypting bidirectional information. Now, I also really like Kirsten's talk because she gave a specific shout out on one of her slides to Bart's explanation of FIDO passkeys and why they rock from Chit Chat Across the Pond number 728. Now, I'm a big old screenshot fanatic, as you've probably noticed, so I didn't necessarily expect Dave Ginsburg to be able to teach me anything on the topic. And this is why it's so important to go to talks even if you think you know everything. He talked about TechSmith's Snagit app, which I used probably 15 years ago on Windows when I was still working. It wasn't much to write home about back then, but as Dave showed us the interface, I discovered the modern version has a lot of really nifty features. Now, the thing that really woke me up, though, was when he showed that they have a brand new feature called Snagit Steps, and it looks like it could be a contender to replace my beloved Screen Steps. For many years, I advertised for Screen Steps, and it was such an easy sell because I was constantly writing tutorials for the podcast using this tool. I was heartbroken when Blue Mango Solutions decided to discontinue it for personal use and focus on their business product. Now, I haven't tested Snagit Steps yet, but I sure plan to. As I expected, Chris Cook rocked the house with her talk on accessibility. She played the video that she and I created that demonstrated how she could control my screen with Remote Incident Manager from Numa Solutions. She also talked about a cool tool Numa Solutions have called Scribe, and it does what they call document remediation. I'd heard this phrase before on the Double Tap podcast, but I had no idea what document remediation meant. She explained, for the sake of argument, I'm going to try to do... Don't try to help. Don't try to reword. Imagine you're blind and there's a handout for a meeting that everyone gets ahead of time. Or say there's a document being shared during the meeting. What if you could have it made accessible real time during the meeting? How life-changing would that be? That's what Scribe can do. Now, I should say that I was delighted at how much fun... Not I should say. In addition to enjoying her presentation, I have to say I was delighted at how much fun Chris had at MacStock and how she was welcomed into the community. She is already coming back. It's not that hard. She's already planning on coming back next year. Brett Terpstra gave a talk on Mastodon, and he started with the problem to be solved, explaining the cesspool that is the anger algorithm of other social media platforms. After making a compelling case to move away from other tools like Twitter and Facebook, he explained that Mastodon has no algorithm. Then he detailed how federation works between server instances and how to choose an instance for Mastodon. It's not actually hard, but it can be confusing because it's not like any other social media platform. I learned a couple more tips on how to get more traction posting on Mastodon. I knew that having a good bio on your profile helps, but Brett gave even more suggestions. On your profile page, Mastodon lets you put links to things you do and can explain what you care. No. On your profile... I must need more tea. I like this tea, Steve.
I'm glad to hear that.
Oh, there's a Scribe markup language, huh? On your profile. On your profile page, Mastodon lets you put links to things you do, and in there you can explain what you care about, what you talk about, and you can even add hashtags of what you're interested in. He also said that having a pinned post on your profile was powerful in letting people know why they should follow you. He also said that the thing that gets him to follow people is often simply that they interact with him in a positive and constructive manner. Mike Burke was a brand new speaker at Macstock, and he took a big swing. In his 90-minute workshop, he had us work on the preparation of starting a new project. He used the term mise en place, which is a French phrase that means getting all of your ingredients ready before you start cooking. His idea is to do mise en place for his digital workplace. Let me stop real quick and ask Sandy if I pronounced it right. I had her help me. Oh, goody, goody, goody. I chose my Mastodon server because it was toot.community. Must have made you laugh. All right. First, he had us come up with a project idea to do in the workshop. Then we were to tell our neighbor our idea. I was sitting next to Doc Rock, and his idea was to plan a murder. So that was fun. Anyway, Mike decided not to use Doc Rock's example. Rather, he chose planning a trip to Macstock. Mike had us download and install 4 applications to follow along. We started with MindNode for mind mapping, where we brainstormed what we would need to do to prepare to go to Macstock. Then we copied the text from the mind map into drafts, which is the tool he uses to think about the work. So the first mind map is about brainstorming. Now we're thinking about what has to be done. He also had us install something called Task Paper Parser to format the information in drafts. Now, in drafts, he created tasks with variable names that would have meaning when we get to the Keyboard Maestro part as the last step. He imported the to-do items from drafts into the app Things, and that's where he says you actually do the work. Now, he got to Keyboard Maestro, and it got super cool. This was my favorite part. His idea was that before you go on this trip, you need to create a folder structure for all of the information for Macstock. You need a folder for reservations, like your hotel, plane, and car. You need another folder where maybe you're going to take notes. And he also likes to have placeholder documents for taking notes during the sessions. He said to the audience that he wanted to create a shell script for Keyboard Maestro that would do all of this automatically with just a few prompts. So he started listening to and reading Taming the Terminal. Another shout out for Bart. But then he apologized and he looked at me and he goes, well, it was really cool. And I really do plan on going back to Taming the Terminal. But for this demonstration, I just asked ChatGPT to help me write the shell script. It was very funny. I liked it. Anyway, this was a lot to do during live. Anyway. I do have to say this was a lot to do live during a 90-minute workshop, but if you made it this far, you could then download the Keyboard Maestro macro that he had written and run it and see that it created the folder structure he described with all of the placeholder files right on your desktop. It was very cool. I did raise my hand and say as loud as I could that we should always download and run Keyboard Maestro macros from strangers who give them to us to run shell scripts. That got a good laugh. Anyway, Mike's talk was way above some people's heads in the room, but it was delightful to me to be challenged. It tickled my brain on how I could use this technique of mise en place. If you'd like to learn what we learned at, say, a more leisurely place, why does it say leisurely place? Leisurely pace. If you'd like to... Nope. Leisurely pace. Oh, and placeholders misspelled. Look at that. Didn't notice that one. All right. Scroll back to where I was. If you'd like to learn at a more leisurely pace. There it is. If you'd like... Next. If you'd like to learn what we learned, but at a much more leisurely pace, Mike documented it, including the Keyboard Maestro macro, at themikeburke.com. That's BURKE.com. Okay, now I introduced another typo in that. Pace. There you go. All right. Brian Flanagan Arthurs did a talk entitled Automate, but Don't Take Shortcuts. He explained all of the reasons for automating things in your life. Time efficiency and improved accuracy are both well-known reasons, but he also talked about automating saving money by using an Apple Card and having the cash go right into an Apple savings account. He talked about automation helping with consistency, like using the medications reminder in Apple Health. He pointed out that you can reduce stress because you don't have to remember when and how to do things. He gave examples of how he sets focus modes on both location and time to make sure he's on task when he's at the school where he works. He even talked about saving energy with automation by putting his water cooler on a smart switch in HomeKit. You just got to know the first thing I did was send him our vacation switch automation to go along with that. And Marty Gencius, who is a professor with at least one PhD, I think maybe two, he brought his son Will along, who also has a PhD, but his is in chemistry. They do a podcast together called Gear Up and Go, which is a tech and travel podcast. Instead of a presentation, though, he and Will invited audience members to fill out a little Google web form where we got to enter our favorite tech item for travel. People jumped on the form, so they were only able to take the first 15 ideas and let each person come up to the front where one by one they told the audience about their tech gadget or software. So it was like this barrage of really cool information coming from people all within the audience. Now on the stage, Will and Marty lined up a bunch of paper lunch bags with numbers on them. These were surprise gifts for the people who walked up. They got to just choose by number. Some of the surprise gifts were super cool and useful. Like one person won a MagSafe battery pack. But there was a fair amount of variability in how cool these things were. My favorite was when Marina Eppelman won a banana. Anyway, I was thinking when she got that, I was like, man, a banana sounds pretty good right now, but she wouldn't let me have it. Anyway, after the show, since they had this handy web form, they created a web page with all of the ideas people gave out at the show. Of course, there's a link in the show notes. They also created a web page for the tech gifts that they gave away, which is also linked in the show notes. I wonder if there's a link to the banana. Anyway, I thought the whole thing was a great idea. It broke up the monotony of presentations, and it showed off how fun this father and son team is, which made me want to subscribe to their Gear Up and Go podcast. One of the great additions to this year's Macstock was sponsorship by the company Ecamm. They make a product you've probably seen used if you haven't used it yourself, which allows video content creators to create fancy scenes and transitions in their live videos. This isn't a new concept. You may have heard about the open source project called OBS, Mimo Live from Boinks, and others over the years. But Ecamm seemed to be making live broadcasting easier and better. I wouldn't normally gush over a company at a conference, but the big joy came from Ecamm because Doc Rock, known in the Mac circles since his 2OW, the unofficial weblog days, he works for them, and he was at Macstock, like I mentioned about him planning the murder. Anyway, he's funny, he's kind, he's brilliant, and he was shouting out answers the whole time. He's a training coach evangelist for Ecamm, and he inspired a lot of people who were attending the show. All right, enough about everyone else's talks. Let's talk about mine. In a moment of silliness, I volunteered to do not one, but two talks at this year's Macstock. The first one was a 90-minute workshop, and the second one was a 45-minute, I'm going to call it an inspirational talk, along the lines of the theme of the show, Share. Now, I started with the first one, which is the 90-minute workshop, and I called it Editing Photos in Apple Photos on Mac OS. People ask me quite often. Actually, no, I'm not going to say that. Now, I started with... Let's start with my 45-minute workshop. No, 90-minute workshop. Let's start with the 90-minute workshop. People ask me quite often what photo editing tool they should buy for their Mac, and they always follow it quickly by saying, but I don't want anything super complicated. Well, my answer is to always use Apple Photos. No. Well, my answer, it always is in the wrong place. My answer is always to try using Apple Photos. This common question got me thinking why people don't realize how powerful this built-in application actually is. I think it's because Apple hides a lot of the depth of the app under these wee tiny little chevrons. In my workshop, I walked through every single one of those little drop-down menus and hopefully demystified them by demonstrating their effect on purpose-chosen photos. The good news is that Steve recorded the workshop using his fancy new Pocket 3 camera. The bad news is that we forgot to charge the fancy new microphone that goes along with it, so he had to record the house sound. The good news is that Final Cut Pro has a pretty impressive filter built into it that allows him to remove the room echo reasonably well. He posted the video to YouTube, and of course, there's a link in the show notes. Now, I was sad that my second talk was the very last talk of the entire conference. It was at 5 p.m. on Sunday night. That's the worst, right? Well, on the first day, we discovered that one of the speakers, Kelly Gamont, was unfortunately unable to attend. I raced over to Mike to say, hey, why don't you pull my talk forward to that first day to take her place? To my dismay, he said that my talk was the perfect way to end the show. It actually turns out I think he was right. People, for reasons I can't explain, maybe because it's a great conference, they stayed to the end. And that really surprised me. There were so many people. There's so many more. I thought it would be like 4 people. It turned out my talk was a great way to end the show. Throughout the 3 days, people said nearly everything I had prepared. But it turned out that was a good thing. I was able to sew all of their comments together into this cohesive story where I encouraged them to share what they learned, and I made suggestions on how they should share this knowledge. I was very proud of my slides because I created 35 of them, and there were 0 words on my charts. Okay, I'm lying. One chart had a ton of words on it, but it was to illustrate how too many words are a bad thing. I don't want to tell you too much more about the talk because Steve has created a video for this one too. The good news is we charged the mic this time, so the sound is even better. Now, I'm also including in the show notes a nice video of just my charts. If you watch this video, since it's all pictures, you'll have virtually no idea what I talked about because all of the details are in the speaker show notes. Speaker notes. Are in the speaker notes. I do have to spoil one part. One of my very last slides showed how people like to scribble on iPhone screenshots to point at something and how terrible that is. I showed instead how to make nice rectangles and arrows and such instead, and I begged the audience, no, I actually forbid the audience to ever send me a screenshot like that. I can't believe that I said that. I should have known not to do something like that because for the next half hour, I was barraged by screenshots with scribbles on them from attendees. It's good to have friends. Well, as much fun as the sessions were, the after-hours activities were great too. One night, Barry hosted a wine tasting, and another night, we got to watch the Mac Geek Gab live. That was a real experience because for reasons nobody could explain, Pilot Pete came out in a toga exclaiming, "I thought this was the Mac Greek Gab." I thought I wrote geek. Okay, there we go. Chuck Joyner did a live recording of his Mac voices, but he did not wear a toga. And Marty Gencius and friends hosted the Vision Profiles meetup where everyone could play with the Vision Pro. Now, for many of us, the best after-hours event was hosted by Kay Lee on Sunday night. Yes, the Kay Lee who was on the NosillaCast years ago and who surprised me last year by showing up out of the blue. She's moved to Japan, and yet she managed to get herself back to the States just for MacStock. That's how fun this is. See, Katie has created a simulation of the old TV game show Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and she wrote it all in JavaScript on a Mac. She divided us up into 6 teams, each of a different color. Get it? Get it? 6 colors? I didn't get that till the end. Anyway, she had us put one iPhone for each team onto an ad hoc network connected to her Mac. This instantly made the connected iPhone into the control surface for us to be able to choose our answers during the game, and it looked just like the buttons they have in Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. The clues were all either Apple-centric or at least nerd-centric, which made it great fun for this audience. Now, the gameplay was just like on the TV shows, and if anything, Kaylee was an even more enthusiastic MC than Regis Philbin. I am not exaggerating when I say it was so exciting that several of us were literally biting our nails when we didn't know who was going to win. But the best part was when the game was over, Kaylee let us see her code. She walked us through a lot of it and kept apologizing for its crudeness while everyone exclaimed at her brilliance. When it was over, I suggested to Dave Hamilton and Adam Christensen that this was probably both of their favorite parts of the entire show, and they both enthusiastically said yes, they loved it. I have to say, I love MacStock with every fiber of my being. It's a very loving and inclusive environment. I don't think I've hugged as many people in the last year as I hugged over the weekend. If you don't like hugging, you don't have to hug anybody, but man, did we feel like hugging people. Mike Potter puts on an amazing conference with attention to all of the right details and gives us the space to nerd out, party together, and feel like we're home.
And guess who's here?
Oh my gosh, Kaylee! Right after
She said you pronounced her name Katie at one point.
No, I just said Kaylee. I said it too much.
Oh.
I remember when you're talking about.
It was a hard L.
See, Katie has created. I did.
You did. All right, that deserves an edit.
Sorry. See, Katie has created a simulation. Okay, I can do this. That's
hey, Kaylee.
So funny.
Glad you're here.
Did you come in just... Kaylee and I... Kaylee and I want to do a podcast together, or at least episodes for Chit Chat or something called Kaylee and Allison Disagree. Maybe I should leave Katie in there just to irritate her.
Katie. And that'll be the first point of disagreement.
All right. Okay. The second time was Katie. Okay, I found it. Okay, here we go. I'm going to do it. I hate when I do that. What?
I
didn't do it more than once, did I?
Cursor's still there.
Yeah.
Second time was Katie.
Okay. You see, Kaylee has... Okay, don't do it over. I said to do it on this track. Oh, this one has to be armed. That's what I got to do. No, not solo. Mute. Not solo. Okay, make sure that's undone when I'm done here. You see, Kaylee has created a simulation of the old TV game show, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? She wrote it all in JavaScript. There, I nailed it. Okay. Is that the only one I did? Make it a weekly thing. My favorite one at MacStock was she thought somebody should get rid of an old Mac, and I was trying to think of things for that person to do with it and keep it. That surprised me. Okay, let's see how that blends. That's how fun this is. You see, Kaylee has created a simulation of the old TV game show, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? She wrote it all in JavaScript. A little too much gap.
How did the prior... Where did you insert that? What reads just before that insert?
It's the beginning of a paragraph. Kaylee has created a simulation of the old... Did I say Katie again? Kaylee has created a simulation of the old TV game show, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? 9 a.m.
Before that.
What?
That's the beginning of what you inserted?
Yeah, it's the beginning of a paragraph.
What ends the prior to that insert? Yeah, there.
Back to the States just for MacStock. That's how fun this is.
Got it. Okay.
You see, Kaylee has created a...
I just want to make sure it was inserted.
Okay. All right. Okay. Oh, I do want to say one more thing here. I do want to mention, that's the wrong track now. Oh, track that one. Okay, nobody's muted. Good. By the way, there are links to the 2 videos produced of both of my talks in the blog post for MacStock 2025, but they're also directly linked in the show notes for this episode of the show in your podcatcher of choice. All right. Oh, I didn't download that new money. I found a bunch of money jingles, Steve, on... I want to call it Digital Juice, but that's the old one. What's it called? Digital Jungle Juice. What is it called?
Jungle Juice. That's it. That's got to be it.
Digital Jungle, maybe? Anyway, for money, and it's just the first half of the money without the second half. I think it sounds pretty good. Good, but I didn't download them yet. I don't know. One of them was $2. So.
That's pretty pricey.
Just occurred to me, I wonder whether there's any young folks listening right now who have no idea what that sound was. Well, anyway, I have 2 people to thank for the generous donations this week, and I can tie them both back to MacStock. Last year, I had the great pleasure of meeting a lovely gentleman who we're going to call Mr. X to preserve his identity. He's a longtime listener, but he'd never reached out to me before. This year, he was unable to attend because of a scheduling conflict, but that did not stop him from going to podfeed.com/donate and buying me more coffees than anyone has ever bought me before. It was incredible. And the other support requires an explanation. Every year when we go to MacStock, the lovely Corky Heath picks Steve and me up at the airport, drives us to all of the offsite events, and then transports us back to the airport. When we thank him profusely, he says the same thing every year. He says that by doing this, he's saving us the cost of a rental car for 5 days, so that's his way of donating to support the shows. He also confesses that he enjoys having Steve and me all to himself so much of the time, but that joy goes both ways. So thank you to Mr. X and Corky for supporting the Podfeet podcasts. You should put the photo that you, the best photo that you took of me on stage. Do you remember the one with the
I
super dorky
I
look
think I
on my face?
remember which one.
It's in I had the black shirt on that day.
I'll see if I
remember
can
that.
find it.
So it's the best photo you got. I bet.
Oh,
what's
this
it,
one.
Susie? Oh, thank you. Save. Yes.
I think it was this one.
Let's see. That's it. That's the best photo he got of me on stage. Thanks.
Wow. That was not the best. It may have been the funniest.
No, but I have a feeling Kevin just downloaded that.
Yeah, right. That will come up again somewhere.
Yep. All right. Security bits here. Security bits here. Throw in a couple of. I thought I took a long time before I started talking. Option T. Option T. You want to hear a plink?
You bet.
Pay attention.
Blink.
There it is. I know it's genuine. This is not made up. It's not a forgery.
Nope. So get rid of that one. And that one. Oh, Bruce.
If you put an arrow on that, a hand-drawn arrow.
No, he did a circle. That's just as bad. That's pretty funny.
Well,
Bruce.
if you point to the circle, hand-drawn squiggle with a hand-drawn arrow, that's pièce de résistance.
Turns out if you draw a circle with your finger and you stop, it stays it becomes a real circle.
In photos?
In markup, so like if you take a screenshot of something, that's where people usually do it.
Right, you can't do that in photos,
No.
I think.
You can do it in markup on, like if you embed a photo in Mail or in Notes, you can get to markup. Poster size. Recording the Podfeet podcasts. This is a long jingle.
Well, security bits is
Well, it's
long.
that time of... Okay, trying to listen. Well, it's that time of the week again. It's time for Security Bits with Bart Bouchat's. What's shaking today, Bart?
Well, I had a lovely cycle. Does that count as shaking?
It does. It does. You stayed on your bike. Nobody hit you. It's a good day.
They are both true facts, and that is definitely correct. I also stayed dry, which this week has been a rarity.
You know, I saw somebody talking on social media about how they moved to Ireland in January and it hasn't rained yet. Oh, Kayla, you got your mom a MacBook Air, and that's her first Mac? Make sure she has my card so she can ask me questions in case she doesn't want to ask you. She probably wants to ask you, but if she ever needed help during hours that you're asleep, I would love to help her. Kaylee's mom was so fun. Actually, Steve, can you find the picture of Kaylee's mom wearing that shirt? Oh, is that okay if we show that, Kaylee? Bart, we will actually see you in 2 weeks, right before my vacation. Cool.
Yes, but even though it's only for 12 days, a dozen days, remember, folks, stay patched so you stay secure.
Alrighty. Cut that off. Ooh, we're going to be just under the wire. Throw in Bart's audio icon. I can't believe I remember this every week so far. Thank you, Kevin. So, Steve, do you know the picture I'm talking about, her in her shirt?
This is Kaylee's mom's shirt and her shirt. I think I only have one photo of it, so I hope this is the one.
Folks, stay patched so you stay secure.
It is pretty funny.
I got a picture of Charles Boucher's. Yeah, that's the one. I love that shirt. Especially since it was all about video games. There's a picture of Charles' shirt. It's all you should see in the photo library, Steve. It's right around when I took that photo. It's black with a bunch of symbols on it. Oh. And he said I had to figure out what it was, and I have no idea. Just
Charles' shirt, not with his face or anything.
Right. Do you want that photo, Kaylee? Because I can send it to you. I can text you that. Look how happy she is. It was so fun getting to meet her, and her getting to see Kaylee in her element with all her little nerd friends. I think that was fun for her. Okay, let's see. Kaylee mom.
I am not finding
Not seeing it?
a shirt.
It was towards the end. It's a bunch of different colored symbols on a black shirt.
Oh, okay. I didn't
Yeah.
know that was a shirt. Got it.
Okay, nerds, tell me what this means. Maybe Kaylee figured out what it was. while we
I'm
were there.
sure Kaylee knows what it is.
I'm going to keep recording. Here we go. Well, that is going to wind us up for this week. Did you know you can email me at allison@podfeet.com anytime you like? If you have a question or suggestion, just send it on over. I had so much fun. After my presentation, I was supposed to talk about how people can find my stuff, and I yelled out to the audience, everything good starts with, and a third of the people said, podfeet.com. I loved it. It was really fun. Anyway, you can follow me on Mastodon, podfeet.com/Mastodon. Want to listen to the podcast on YouTube? Go to podfeet.com/YouTube. If you want to join the conversation, you can join our Slack community where? podfeet.com/Slack. You can talk to me and all of the other lovely NosillaCast castaways. You can support the show like Mr. X at podfeet.com/ wait, nope, he didn't do Patreon. You can support the show at podfeet.com/Patreon or with a one-time donation at podfeet.com/donate like Mr. X did. Oh, come on. You can support the show at podfeet.com/Patreon or with a one-time donation at podfeet.com/donate like Mr. X did this week, or through podfeet.com/PayPal. And if you want to join in the fun of the live show, we had lots of fun this week. Head on over to podfeet.com/live on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time and join the friendly and enthusiastic NosillaCast castaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed. All right. Sandy, that's the answer I came up with. Huh? He says, as an engineer, you should get it. Frog, squid, TV, turtle. Is it those letters? Frog, squid, TV, turtle. FSTT. No. Clover, turtle, building, crab. Oh, we gotta do chapter count, Steve.
Okay. Whoop, that's too much.
What have you got?
I'm just trying to find the window. I am totally lost. Here we go.
Perfect time and join the friendly and enthusiastic NosillaCast castaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed. Always starts a little bit late. Oh, it is Wingdings, I bet. So if we went into switched to Wingdings and started banging keys till we got it and wrote down which ones did what, or used, yeah, I've got the keyboard viewer. Can you change? You can't change fonts in keyboard viewer though, can you? No, you can't do that. That's a good clue, Ian. Yeah. And stay subscribed.
Is it Wingdings though?
Might be. So six chapters is what I've got.
No, I got 7.
Maybe I'm missing one. I didn't make links.
That would give me 8.
To the 2 videos.
Oh, okay. But
they're not chapter marks, they're other links.
Okay, I'm confused.
And I have for Mac Eyes Only that you may not.
I don't have that, but I do have links to both of your MacStock presentations.
So I've got 6, minus 1 is 5, plus 2 is 7.
And that's what I have. So I think
okay.
Katie
all right,
says
I
it
think
looks
we
like
made it.
game sprites.
Yeah, what's a game sprite?
Probably gamers know what those are.
Somebody's setting off giant fireworks, Kevin says. Maybe it's just how friggin' hot it is outside and it's all, the world is on fire.
Things are just popping off.
Yeah.
Wow.
Apple
Almost
Tour
on
Commodore.
the nose. 15 seconds.
15 seconds. Should we call it?
We got to end it. Well, let's end it right on the nose.
Oh, I don't like things hitting my nose. I just don't.
Yeah.
Phrasing. Too soon.
5, 4, 3, 2,